Isaac and Rebekah, having married, yearned for a child. Years passed and Rebekah remained barren. Isaac, a man of deep faith, prayed fervently to God for his wife to conceive. God heard Isaac's plea, and Rebekah finally found herself with child. However, the pregnancy was far from easy. Rebekah experienced great discomfort and turmoil within her womb. Confused and distressed, she cried out to God, questioning why she was made to endure such suffering. In response, God revealed to her that she carried not one but two nations within her. These twins, he declared, were destined for a life of conflict, locked in a struggle for dominance even before their birth. Two nations are in your womb, and two peoples from within you shall be divided. The one shall be stronger than the other, the older shall serve the younger, God proclaimed. This prophecy foreshadowed the tumultuous relationship that would later unfold between her sons, Jacob and Esau. The moment of birth arrived, and Rebekah brought forth twin boys. The first emerged covered in thick red hair, a sign of things to come, and they named him Esau. The second son followed closely behind, his tiny hand clutching at his brother's heel as if already vying for position. They called him Jacob. From the very beginning, the twins exhibited stark differences, their personalities as contrasting as their appearances. Esau, the firstborn, grew to be a skilled hunter, a rugged outdoorsman who embraced the physical world. Jacob, on the other hand, possessed a more introspective nature, preferring the quiet comforts of home and the company of his mother. This division in temperament extended to the affections of their parents. Isaac, drawn to Esau's strength and vitality, favored his elder son. Rebekah, however, found herself drawn to Jacob's gentle spirit and sharp mind. This imbalance of affection, coupled with the prophecy of their destinies, set the stage for a lifetime of rivalry and deceit. As the twins grew older, their divergent paths became more pronounced. Esau, the impulsive hunter, lived for the thrill of the chase and the satisfaction of his immediate desires. Jacob, ever calculating, understood the power of patience and the weight of inheritance. One fateful day, Esau returned from an unsuccessful hunt, famished and desperate for sustenance. Jacob, ever opportunistic, saw a chance to exploit his brother's weakness. He offered Esau a bowl of steaming lentil stew, a simple meal, but one that held immense appeal to the starving hunter. However, Jacob's offer came with a steep price: Esau's birthright. To Esau, the birthright, a distant concept signifying inheritance and leadership, paled in comparison to the immediate gratification of a hearty meal. Without hesitation, he agreed to Jacob's terms, trading his future for a fleeting moment of satisfaction. This seemingly insignificant transaction would have profound consequences, setting Jacob on a trajectory to inherit the divine covenant promised to his lineage. Years passed, and Isaac, now old and frail, felt the weight of his mortality. His eyesight had faded, but his mind remained sharp. He desired to bestow his final blessing upon Esau, his favored son, securing his inheritance and fulfilling the tradition of their people. Calling for Esau, Isaac instructed him to hunt for game and prepare a savory meal, a final act of filial devotion before receiving his father's blessing. Rebekah, overhearing this exchange, was overcome with a sense of urgency. Knowing of Isaac's preference for Esau and fearing that Jacob's rightful inheritance would be lost, she devised a plan, a cunning deception, to secure the blessing for her favored son. She called Jacob to her and revealed her scheme, instructing him to fetch 2 young goats from their flock. With these, Rebekah would prepare a meal mimicking Esau's usual fare. To complete the illusion, she clothed Jacob in Esau's garments and covered his hands and neck with the soft fur of the goats, disguising his smooth skin to resemble his brother's. Trembling with a mixture of fear and determination, Jacob approached his blind father, presenting the savory meal and perpetuating the elaborate ruse. Isaac, none the wiser, bestowed his blessing upon Jacob, believing him to be Esau. Soon after receiving the blessing, Jacob found himself facing the consequences of his actions. Esau, learning of his brother's deception, was enraged. The pain of being cheated out of his birthright and his father's blessing fueled a burning desire for revenge. Rebekah, sensing the imminent danger, once again intervened. She urged Jacob to flee, to seek refuge with her brother Laban in Haran. With a heavy heart, and the weight of his deception upon him, Jacob embarked on his journey, leaving behind the only home he had ever known. As he traveled, night fell, and Jacob found himself alone in a desolate place. Exhausted and filled with uncertainty, he lay down using a stone as his pillow and drifted off to sleep. It was there, in that desolate place, that Jacob experienced a vision that would change his life forever. He dreamt of a stairway reaching towards the heavens, with angels ascending and descending its radiant steps, and above it stood God, reaffirming the covenant made with Abraham and Isaac, promising to bless Jacob and his descendants. This divine encounter, this tangible assurance of God's presence, filled Jacob with a sense of awe and hope. He named that place Bethel, meaning house of God, marking it as a sacred place where heaven and earth intersected. Section 6. Laban's daughters. Jacob's journey to Haran led him to the household of Laban, his mother's brother. There he encountered Laban's daughters, Leah and Rachel, and found himself drawn to the beauty of the younger sister Rachel. Eager to marry Rachel, Jacob agreed to work for Laban for 7 years as a bride price. However, Laban, a man not unlike Jacob in his cunning, deceived him on his wedding night. Veiling Leah, the elder daughter, Laban presented her to Jacob as his bride. The deception was not revealed until morning, leaving Jacob both outraged and bound by the marriage. Laban, justifying his actions, insisted that Jacob fulfill another 7 years of labor to marry Rachel. Jacob, deeply in love with Rachel, agreed to these terms. Thus began a complex family dynamic marked by rivalry, jealousy, and the weight of deception. Leah, though initially unloved, bore Jacob 6 sons and a daughter. Rachel, after years of barrenness, finally gave birth to 2 sons, Joseph and Benjamin. In this tumultuous household, the 12 sons of Jacob were born, destined to become the progenitors of the 12 tribes of Israel. Section 7. Reconciliation. After many years in Haran, Jacob, sensing a shift in Laban's favor and fearing for his family's safety, decided to return to his homeland. He gathered his wives, children, and possessions and secretly departed, leaving Laban's household behind. Laban, upon discovering Jacob's flight, pursued him, leading to a tense confrontation. However, their encounter did not erupt into violence as one might expect. Instead, they negotiated a treaty, a covenant of peace, marking their territory and vowing not to encroach upon each other's lands. With this agreement in place, Jacob continued his journey back to Canaan. As he approached his homeland, a wave of anxiety washed over him. The memory of Esau's anger, the fear of his brother's long-awaited retribution haunted his thoughts. He sent messengers ahead, bearing gifts and messages of peace, hoping to appease Esau's wrath. To his surprise, Esau, upon hearing of Jacob's return, rode out to meet him, not with a vengeful army, but with open arms. The brothers embraced, their long-standing animosity dissolving into forgiveness and reconciliation. Section 8. Return to Canaan. Jacob, reunited with his brother and finally at peace with his past, established himself in Canaan. He purchased land near Shechem, built an altar there, and worshipped the God who had guided him throughout his tumultuous journey. However, peace in this new land was not easily maintained. Dinah, Jacob's daughter, was violated by Shechem, the son of the local ruler. This act of violence ignited a firestorm of rage and retribution. Simeon and Levi, 2 of Jacob's sons, enraged by the dishonor brought upon their family, took matters into their own hands, leading a brutal attack on the city of Shechem. Their actions, though fueled by a desire for justice, brought a curse upon their lineage, a legacy of violence that would haunt their descendants. Despite these trials, God remained faithful to his covenant with Jacob. He appeared to Jacob once more, reaffirming his promise and bestowing upon him the name Israel, meaning he who wrestles with God. This new name reflected Jacob's lifelong struggle, his triumphs and failures, and his unwavering faith. Section 9. Legacy in Egypt. As Jacob's life drew to a close, the focus shifted to his beloved son, Joseph. Joseph, gifted with prophetic dreams and favored by his father, faced the bitter jealousy of his brothers. In a fit of rage and resentment, they sold him into slavery, concocting a lie to cover their treachery. Joseph, however, did not succumb to despair. Even in the depths of slavery, he remained steadfast in his faith, his wisdom and integrity shining through. He rose to a position of power in Egypt, eventually becoming the pharaoh's most trusted advisor. Years later, a severe famine swept across the land, reaching even Canaan. Jacob, facing starvation, sent his sons to Egypt to seek aid. There they encountered Joseph, now a powerful ruler who, after testing their character and revealing his true identity, orchestrated a heartwarming reunion with his family. Jacob and his family relocated to Egypt, where they found refuge and prosperity under Joseph's protection. Before his death, Jacob bestowed blessings upon his sons, prophetic pronouncements that foreshadowed their future and the destiny of their descendants. Thus, the story of Jacob, a man marked by both deceit and unwavering faith, culminated in the establishment of his family in Egypt, setting the stage for the future Exodus and the formation of the nation of Israel.